Welcome back to another episode of The Drop Step. This is episode 3, and once again, I am your host, Dylan Soto. And today we are kicking off with not even breaking news at this point. It's been a full 2 days. It will be at least until this video comes out. The Dallas Mavericks have fired general manager Nico Harrison. And I just think that this moment needs to be captured. I feel like I've done that every episode now. That I feel like I'm filming at a time where I need to remember this for the future. Because, oh my gosh, this guy made one of the dumbest trades in the 21st century and then was canned 8 months after. I'm looking at the transaction. It happened on February 2nd, 2025. We are 9 months after that. They fired the guy who traded Luka Doncic. And looking back on the Luka trade, it was idiotic in the moment. It's idiotic now. You lucked out with getting Cooper Flagg at number 1 overall to make your trade look less stupid than it actually is. But it is just genuinely one of the dumbest moves of all time. You traded a 26-year-old superstar, a guy that you went to the NBA Finals with the year before. You traded that guy for 32-year-old injury-prone Anthony Davis to try and maximize your title hopes in the now. So it's genuinely one of the craziest trades of all time, and that's not even mentioning not shopping Luka, not getting Austin Reeves back, only getting one of the Lakers' available first-round picks. They could have traded 2029 and 2031. They only got 29 out of the deal. It's genuinely a wild trade. And obviously, looking back, in the moment, everyone was stunned. I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting at this very desk. The Lakers had just demolished the Knicks, closing them out in the last 4 minutes, where LeBron looked fucking awesome. And it was LeBron, Max Christie, who ends up being in this trade, hits a corner 3 against the Knicks, and I'm like, shit, really? We're going to lose this game to the Lakers with no Anthony Davis and just LeBron turning back the clock in MSG? And they did. And then 2 hours later, the Shams bomb hits. And it's Luka to the Lakers, it's Davis to the Mavericks. And I remember that night just being baffled, staring at my phone, and I'm just like, Shams is hacked. I know that's everyone's take, but I was like, there's no way this is real. They just beat the Knicks on national television and on ESPN. Also, quick tangent, ESPN, Disney, YouTubeTV, figure your shit out. When I pay for League Pass, which is going to amount to like $160 over the entire year, and I get that there's some games that are going to be on national television. Totally understand. In fact, I'm happy that there's games on national television. There should be games on national television. But when I go to my one source to watch the games that aren't on League Pass, I expect those to work. Disney's capitalism and greed, alongside YouTube TV's inability to make something happen, fuck both of you. Genuinely. As just a genuine consumer of sports who already pays for both of these products, fuck you. Tangent over. Back to Nico Harrison, who has heard a lot worse than what I have to say about Disney Corporation. Airstrike comes and blows up my house because I'm talking shit about Disney. Gosh, I'm looking at the transaction report right now, and it says November 11th, fired general manager Nico Harrison. So I do want to work our way back to the obviously last thing that happened on the transaction report. Nico Harrison fired. Bang. That is our bookend to the Nico Harrison story. We're just going to work our way back a little bit. I'm going to go... I gotta take a look and see when... Because the next thing noticeable on the transaction report is something that I just need a little more context to. Yeah, I can't... And I just for my own memory, trying to remember what the order of operations was. Kyrie Irving tears his ACL last year on March 3rd. And then 3 months later, on July 6th, they guarantee a contract extension for Kyrie. This is after you have to do it at this point because you've already made the Davis trade. You've already traded away Luka. You need guard play. You re-sign Kyrie to a massive extension for a guy who just tore his ACL 3 months ago. Now, what does Kyrie's contract look like? When is he coming back? He was going to come back sometime this year if this Dallas team was still pushing for a playoff spot. I don't think you can. Kyrie, chill out again. Because this draft class is legit. We are having back-to-back all-time draft classes, it looks like. This last draft class with Coop, VJ, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, these are legit impact players. And it looks like we're going to have another class like that with Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, and AJ DeBonsta. This is another draft class. You could get Cooper a running mate if you suck again. And I would be leaning full into the suck. There's so many tradable assets on this team to move forward to, and the right GM is going to build the championship roster for Cooper Flag using these pieces that they're going to trade away, or some accumulation of these assets. This is the team that you will build around Cooper Flag to be competitive. The Kyrie contract. I mean, if I'm Kyrie and AD, I want out. Like, Kyrie's obviously not in a place to request or demand a trade. But if I'm Anthony Davis, I think I want out. Like, the guy who brought me in here is gone. And the owner has basically admitted that they fucked up. I'd want to be out. I'd want to be done too. I don't know what a trade for AD looks like. But I do know that you are not going to get the trade value that not even equal to Luka, because you already failed there. You already undersold Luka for Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis's value is now lower because he's again hurt. And you knew that when you traded for him, that this was the risk, and AD is hurt again. I will never understand this trade. I say that, but I was a guy that was like, maybe Nico has a point. Like, dumb trade. Never make that trade ever again. I would never do it. You have a 26-year-old superstar that you just went to the finals with. I would never trade that guy. I'm saying that I would never trade this. So this next 3 minutes of me justifying the mindset of Nico Harrison, it's interesting. It's interesting. I feel like we shouldn't... it's all sports media, so we're going to have takes. It's a take-based business. I like the people that zag when you're supposed to zig. Nico Harrison zagged. He fully said, hey, I don't think we're ever going to win a championship with Luka as our best guy. And, okay, let's see the gamble. The gamble being Anthony Davis's health. The wrong gamble. I think retooling their team around Davis at the 4, a mix of Gafford, Lively at the 5, Kyrie being your 1, finding another shot creator somewhere, and you're not being picked apart on defense by having Luka and Kyrie out there at the same time. Interesting. I see the mindset. I would never trade Luka Doncic. End of rant. He built a good team around Luka and Kyrie. And that's what I want to go through this transaction report is Nico's going to get looked at as one of these awful fucking GMs that blew... He's probably never going to work for... At least publicly. He will never publicly work for another NBA team. If I had to guess. If I had to guess, he would go back into marketing like he was doing before that. Famously, the guy who blew the Nike Steph Curry deal. I know there's been like reports about that it probably wasn't his fault, but your name's attached to missing out on Steph Curry at Nike. That's crazy. Just looking back at this, and I wrote down, because the transaction that happened 2 days after the Luka Doncic trade is one of the most frustrating transactions I've ever seen from a team that wasn't my own. I, fully admitting some bias here, I love Quentin Grimes' game. Quentin Grimes is a quick trigger. He tries hard on defense. He can move with the ball. He can move without the ball. It's a good player to have on your team. And I thought, Oh my gosh, Nico, what another good trade, another good roster piece. You get Quentin Grimes for Tim Hardaway Jr. in a conditional second round pick. Tim Hardaway Jr., who has another 2 years on his contract, who ended up being good for Detroit. I do not like Detroit makes the right move there. Like Detroit makes the right move and gets THJ, and they go to the playoff run and then lose to the Knicks. Sorry about it, but that's exactly what happens. That's a great trade for you. Like you bossed up, you got a guy in your rotation for a guy that you weren't going to pay in the offseason. If you're buying low on this guy, extend him. On July in 2024, they trade Quentin Grimes. They acquire Quentin Grimes for Tim Hardaway Jr. in a conditional second round pick. It is six months later, back in February again, Quentin Grimes traded for Caleb Martin, who had 3 years on the books that you have to pay after that year. It was a 4-year contract. He had just signed with Philadelphia. He had 3 more years after that at, I believe, about $9 million a year. That's another guy you're going to be paying. And you traded Quentin Grimes for that? Quentin Grimes is a dog and looks great in Philadelphia. Great. Another guy on Philadelphia I care about. You see what you're doing to me, Nico? I couldn't believe the Quentin Grimes trade when it happened. Exchange for Quentin Grimes and draft consideration. It's not even listed because it is nothing. They didn't get anything. And I looked at Caleb Martin's stats and I was like, oh, he's still in the Mavericks. I don't remember seeing him in any of the games I've watched this year. And I have thoughts about the Mavericks written down before the Nico Harrison firing. I had some great. I watched them play over the weekend on, I guess it was Saturday. Today's Wednesday. Oh. But I watched them play and I was like, they're interesting. I have some thoughts, and I'll share those thoughts after I'm done going through the Nico Harrison stuff. But some of this is going to bleed in, and it's actually, I was a little ahead of the curve with some of these notes. These aren't time stamped or date stamped, but I wrote these notes on Saturday. It's now Wednesday. Nico was fired yesterday on Tuesday. So we'll get to those. I just wanted to take a look back because there is good trades. There's absolutely good trades in here. Nico built a defensive identity around Luka Doncic, which is pretty impressive. You built a great defensive team around Luka and Kyrie as your shooting guard and point guard. Here's the Quentin Grimes, the initial trade for Quentin Grimes, and also 4 days later after the trade for Quentin Grimes, you re-sign Brandon Williams to his 2-way contract and then guarantee him. I like Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams is kind of a dog and pretty good backup point guard, and I hope he's around there. Oh, and then I see the May 6th, 2024, Jason Kidd agrees to a multi-year contract extension. What the hell? Like, I mean, I don't know the idea was that Jason Kidd was going to move into the front office at some point, or he was leveraging the Knicks into a contract back with the Mavs. I don't know why that was a big situation, but Jason Kidd's still there, and Jason Kidd got a re-up last year in his contract. So good for Jason Kidd. Trying to go back, that was pretty much it in 2024. They were a pretty good team in 2024, and that's the year after the finals. So that's the year after the finals. So they're still trying to get some stuff together, and they've made good acquisitions since then. I'm seeing signed Dante Exum in July. That is, you picked up Dante Exum off the street essentially, and then brought him into a contending run. That's a great fucking trade. You should be proud of yourselves for that. The trades I'm talking about making is the PJ Washington trade, the Daniel Gafford trade, and I feel like that's pretty much it. And then the signing of Najee Marshall this last offseason. He did a good job of building a team around Luka, and I'll never understand trading Luka for Anthony Davis, who's 6 years older, more injury prone. And essentially, they just called Luka fat. Let's call it what it is. They said, this fat bum doesn't take our franchise seriously. Get out of here. We're sending you in a backroom deal to Los Angeles because we don't believe in you. A guy who talks legitimately the most shit out of anyone in the entire league. You lit a fire under that dude? I cannot believe that they lit a fire under the dude who talks the most shit and takes shit the most personally. It's a trade I'll never understand. Like in retrospect or in the moment. It's so stupid. I mean, rest in peace, Nico Harrison career. I do want to get into some like Mavericks thoughts that I had over the weekend because I was planning on talking about them anyways. And my first note that I make is so many guys on this team could be real contributors in trades if it doesn't come together this year. This me on Saturday before Nico gets traded or before Nico gets fired, and it seems that the Mavericks are going to do some sort of rebuild and they're going to build around Coop, which I agree is the right way to do. That's what I would do. Even though I think some of these pieces are so damn good, I wrote PJ Washington can be an elite level, is a top 6 rotation player on a good team. And if they can trade him and get a first or get 2 firsts for PJ Washington, I would do it this year. Najee Marshall is a very good player who you picked up as a steal, as a reclamation project because you lost out on Derrick Jones Jr. after the finals run. So Najee Marshall, cash in on those chips. I think you can get a first for Najee Marshall at this point. Like a low first, but it's a pick or it's another asset. It's someone else. D'Lo, there is value to him. I understand that there is negative connotation, and there should be. D'Lo is far from a perfect player, but he plays point guard. He takes shots. Sometimes you just need that in your offense. He runs a pretty pick and roll. He's a big guard. He's not great on defense, but he's not a guy that gets picked on per se. He could in a playoff series, but if you're trading for D'Lo, I don't think you're thinking of him as top 6 or 7 guy in your rotation. I can't believe I did that. That's not on purpose. Daniel Gafford, hey, cash in on your Daniel Gafford chip. You got Daniel Gafford for legitimately nothing. Cash that chip in, get a first back for Daniel Gafford. Send Gafford to the Lakers and get that 2031 first that you've been missing, because then you cash in on Gafford and get that first round pick back. And I think the Lakers would do that. I think the money to make work would be like Maxi Kleber coming back. And okay, I'm talking myself into that. But like Lakers trade their 2031 first. They get Gafford back. And then I said 80 potentially, because I think you have to start looking into trades for AD and Kyrie and building around Coop. I also wrote, just me watching the game, that the young pieces around Cooper are super fun. Max Christie bulked up big time this offseason, and it's my first time like really watching the Mavs and focusing on anyone but Coop, because you have a little starstruck a little bit. He hasn't been awesome yet, but he's been very good, but he hasn't hit next level yet. Like, I haven't seen the peaks that VJ Edgecombe has shown me yet, which very tough, obviously. Yeah, Christie bulked up. Didn't look as they were playing against the Wizards, and he got like a good like and1 against Washington, and he did a little flex, and I was like, wait, Max Christie doesn't look like a lanky little kid anymore. Like, he's legit looks like a guy. Lively's super good, super young. I like Nimhard. I like Williams. They're fun guards. And then I want to get into the this is gonna be a small little thing. They're trying out the Point Cooper thing, and it's an interesting idea. And I think about Giannis doing the point guard stuff, and I think about how much it has helped him now. I think the Point Cooper thing should stay in effect for a whole season. Be bad. Let Cooper handle the ball. Be bad. Let this guy get as many opportunities as humanly possible to carry the rock and see what he can do with the ball. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just said I don't think this team is a legit contender this year, so I would like to let Cooper rock for as long as possible at the point guard. Yeah, that's That's all I have for the Dallas Mavericks. I did go to an NBA game in the last week. I went to Kings, Oklahoma City on Friday night, which was the first NBA Cup game. And oh my gosh, I have seen the Sacramento Kings in person, so you do not have to. They are bad. They are really bad. Do not pay money to watch this team play. Go and have a good time if you're going to go to a game. Do not pay money to watch this team play. Russell Westbrook is entertaining. It's my first time ever seeing Russ like in person. That was really cool. He had a pretty good game. He scored in the 20s. He showed some energy. He was Russ. The rest of this team is kind of just treading water. The report is that they're going to try and blow it up now too, which they should have done in the offseason. I just don't think they have a ton of value for... I don't think anyone on the roster has a ton of value. I think Sabonis is damaged goods. DeRozan... The Bulls were trying to trade DeRozan for so long. They were trying to trade DeRozan and LaVine for so long, and the fact that they're together on the Kings is awful. Schroeder has a 3-year contract. That's not a contract I would take on at this time. Feels like a too deep of investment for me. Russ is on his last year. Malik Monk, go see what you can get from Malik Monk, but Malik Monk is a fan favorite, and like living in Sacramento and living in the general area, it's like the only guy I talk to, and people are like, yeah, we love Malik Monk. That's the only guy we want to keep around. Yeah, do not pay money to watch the Sacramento Kings play. Go pay money to have a fun experience at the stadium. I think I gotta do a little Knicks. I missed tonight's game. Pissed that I missed tonight's game because they finally lost, and I was ready to do a big Knicks like they're rolling. Mike Brown has this team rolling. Shout out Sacramento Kings for firing Mike Brown, Coach of the Year. Mike Brown. Mike Brown has the boys rolling. They are moving the ball. They had scored 130 points for 5 games in a row. They were undefeated at home. They end up losing to the Magic tonight. I haven't got to watch any of the game film from tonight because all the condensed games will be posted, or like all the all possession games will be posted on NBA.com the next morning, or I think later tonight. But I'm not going to get to it tonight. Sucks that they lost tonight because I'm on such a high watching this team right now because they are swarming on defense. They are shooting a shit ton of threes, and they're making so many. OG looks good. Cat looks like he's figured out what his role is, and I know I'm bipolar when it comes to Karl Anthony Towns. He has a good game. I love the guy. He has 3 bad minutes. I'm in the trade machine trying to get Giannis again. They're buzzing. Shout out to the Knicks. I love the depth. Mitchell Robinson, you're a dog. Gonna cut it pretty short here. I just wanted to do a Nico Harrison thing. Do I have anything else that I want to... Do I have anything else that I want to bring up before we leave? I normally do a show and tell. Normally it's an album. This time I have Champagne Lane, the world in your eyes. Champagne Lane in the back today. But I think I have one surprise. Let me see what I can do. Hey, Nico. You traded this guy away. Nico. I can't believe you traded this guy away, Nico. What are you doing? So this is the only player in the league that I have a jersey of, like an authentic jersey of. Oh, I just saw another one out of my, but this one's a Knicks one. It's the only player non-Nick that I have an authentic jersey of. And if that just shows you what Luka Doncic means to me as an outside fan who's not a Dallas Mavericks fan, who's not a Dallas Mavericks fan and who just loves watching good people play basketball. Can't believe you traded that guy. But I do have a teammate of I'm teeing this up pretty well actually. I have a former point guard's jersey who was Luka Doncic's teammate in Dallas, who wears the number 11 and plays for the New York Knicks. You see this? You see this and you think one name, Jalen Brunson, and you would be sorely mistaken. It is Frank Ntilikina, the true point guard of the Dallas Mavericks and New York Knicks, the best point guard in franchise history for either team, and I will die on that hill. Shout out Frank Ntilikina. And that's the end of the drop step, and I hope you have a great night. Deuces. What's up? This is editing Dylan. Outside, post shower, editing Dylan because I was in the shower and I was like, oh, I didn't say this. Just want to clarify a couple of things, two things in particular. The Kyrie Irving trade from Brooklyn that was seen as like a huge swing because Kyrie didn't have a contract. He was coming off all the COVID stuff. Nico Harrison gets a win for taking a swing and getting Kyrie on a trade that everyone thought was pretty crazy. Shout out, that is a good trade. That is alongside the PJ Washington trade that I mentioned in previously. That is alongside the Daniel Gafford trade. These are good trade. The Dante Exum signing, Derrick Jones Jr. signing. These are good moves that Nico Harrison made as GM. And I think I just want that he acquired Kyrie as well. And it was a huge risk when he did it. And it's not talked about that he took risks to build this team. And so it is funny to look back that the risk that he took trying to win a full championship after backfires and then he's fired for it. I guess it's really three things. The Cooper Flag part has shadowed so much of this. Them winning the draft lottery is such an insane caveat to put in this, that he's essentially found a way to cover up a bad trade by just winning the draft lottery, and was so incredibly smug about this trade. I actually have so many more thoughts. It's not even just three. He was so incredibly smug about this trade, coming to the press conference, defense wins championships. Oh, we'll see what the fans feel like when we start winning. Hey, Nico, they didn't care even when you did look good. They were still pissed. He was incredibly smug about the whole thing. You lucked out with Cooper Flag getting a generational talent. I'm of the people that think that we should stop using the term generational. I think Wembanyama is generational. And then I'd say the last generational guy before that is probably Steph. If I like Jokic is maybe the best, but like coming out of college, like guys we knew were going to be good. Steph is probably the last, even though he wasn't a 1-1. Like Steph had something special and it was clearly visible at Davidson. Outside, starting to rain. My last thing I did the original one of the two things was thank you so much, Nico Harrison, for being a part of the reason that Jalen Brunson leaves the Dallas Mavericks. He has Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic on the same team, both guys who are all NBA performers. And I could not be happier and thank Nico Harrison for letting Jalen Brunson walk. I understand there's other stuff with Brunson wanting to go to New York, them hiring Rick Brunson, Leon Rose connection. All valid, all super cool, that's all fine. Thank you for blessing me with the presence of Jalen Brunson. Okay, back to editing. Deuces. I hope you guys have a great night. Peace.